Okay, we are here. We are approaching our Aries total solar eclipse conjunct to the exact minute and degree with Chiron, the wounded leader, at 19 degrees and 24 minutes of Aries. And this is your call to plant the seeds to heal your leadership, knowing that you already are a leader who heals others. This is a big one. You're feeling it, so let's dive in.
Welcome to Star Powered Astrology for Changemakers. I'm Leslie Tagorda, your guide, a Hawaii born Filipino Jewish astrologer who loves navigating visionaries like you through the spiritual journey of your work so that you can be inspired to lead by your chart and become the luminary leader you were born to be.
Okay, friends, this might be a long episode. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, you might want to hop on over to YouTube because I will be sharing a lot of visuals and some charts because this is a big eclipse. And I want to validate a few things for you that I know you're already feeling into. And I've just been hearing stories from my friends, from my clients of all of these massive changes that people have been just jumping into their soul purpose, into their way of being that they want to be, into their leadership, and just tearing down all of these false expectations that we thought we've had with ourselves. The image that I'm having of this particular eclipse as we've been, transiting through the lunar eclipse and into this solar eclipse is, if you ever had like a splinter, like a deep splinter, and you haven't been able to get it out, and then your body just like decides that it doesn't want it anymore, and it just kind of pushes it out through the skin, and then you can just like take that piece out. Well, that splinter that's been in you doesn't belong in you. To me, that splinter is all of that kind of societal expectations that we've internalized ourselves, so that no longer is society or our family oppressing us. It's like we are oppressing ourselves from going after our own goals and our own dreams. Well, this is coming out so that we can jump into the future. So today, I'm going to be talking about how this eclipse really falls into the grander scheme of 2024, changing the faces of leadership. I really want to go deep into what makes a leader and, throw away all of those fallacies of like a leader should or do, should do this or look like this, all those shoulds that we're going to get rid of. Then we're going to look at the astrology of this eclipse and really hear what the eclipse is asking of us. And then of course, I'm going to go into the personalization. So for each sign, go into how we're meant to jump into this part of our leadership to become that hero that we're going to be. And then we'll see what else comes forward. Because this was such a big eclipse and I have so much to share with you, I actually pulled a few cards. Recently, I've been really loving this deck by Nat Gersberger. I was gifted this for my birthday and I've been playing with it because it's just like so beautiful. It's the Radiant Wild Tarot Navigate Inner Desert Dreamscapes. And I just thought this was like so beautiful for Aries season. And as I was shuffling the cards and asking, how do I want to, like, what do my listeners and my participants need to know truly about this eclipse season? Like three cards came flying out. I was like, okay, I heard you. we'll get you. And so the first card that came out, so beautiful, the Knight of Cups. Heart, imagination, devotion, and desire. And I just love this card, like this is the first card that popped out, and this card wants us to lean into your heart, take a dose of passion and the spirit to transform even the most barren deserts into bright and flourishing oases. Now, I thought this was so beautiful because this idea that we are jumping into what we truly desire, what we truly want, what we are truly here to be, taking away that idea of want and desire, but who are we here to be? Of course, Aries is I am. And so who are you? who do you like with all of those expectations and like the roles and without being a mom or having all these degrees or all these things, who are you? who do you want to be, and taking out that want, putting yourself into who are you at this moment in time in the future. And so we're jumping into that. Look at that beautiful rainbow. You already are. That's what this eclipse is reminding you, especially in Aries. This is our last Aries eclipse. We had the Aries eclipse last year. So this was really opening all of us up. And like, we can't do all this old stuff that doesn't mean anything just for, just for likes, just for achievement things. Like, this is like us saying, like, no, we have to follow our hearts. We have to be ourselves. The next card that came up was the Strength card. And of course, this eclipse is conjunct Chiron. We're going to talk about that. But this Strength card, you can see in this card, there's some cacti in the back, and there's some kind of pokiness in this, so a little bit of discomfort in this. And this card is really this honoring of Chiron, saying that you have gotten so strong. You have built up all of your strength and all of your skills and all of your tenacity and all of your persistence from the challenges that you got to experience, your deepest Chiron wounds that show us your contribution. I absolutely love talking about Chiron, and I'm going to talk about Chiron from here until forever, because Chiron is such an important part in not just understanding what our wounds are, but how our wounds are really a gift, how it creates that scar tissue that are our strengths that we are meant to contribute back into the world. Chiron is not just the wounded. He is the healer. He is the mentor. He is the leader, and you are too. And then the last card that I got for us is a reversed judgment card. Oh my gosh, I'm laughing and giggling just because of when the serendipity, when the kismet of all of this come together. I'm just like, you can't make this stuff up. Now, judgment, I've noticed that in my community and with myself and with my friends, when we're talking about some of our deepest shames and like some of our deepest failures, we look back and we say to ourselves, oh, I should have done this. I should have done this. And anytime we have this word should, you know 100% that you are judging yourself. Okay. We cannot change the past. We can learn from the past. We can give ourselves forgiveness that the decisions that we made in the past were the decisions that was the best we could do. Right? When this reverse judgment card is saying, how have you been judging some of your past actions, whether you see them as failures, whether you see them as challenges, whether you're judging yourself or whether you're judging others. If you're one of those fixity people who are, running after in that kind of like martyr mode, trying to fix everybody else, know that you are not focusing in on yourself. And what are you hiding by trying to fix everybody else? And so if you hear yourself, going around to your friends or your parents or your family or to your children, and you're like, you should do this, you should do that. Well, guess what? You are judging them too. Okay. Now, children, yes, we are responsible for our children. They are people that we are here to take care of. So there's a little bit of shoulds that we need to, keep them going, but how do we change those shoulds into direct action? You need to do this. Like telling my son this morning, I want you to be more accountable for your morning routine. You are 8 years old. I don't need to be reminding you that at 7:40, it's time to go brush your teeth. So we're going to be practicing how to get him more accountable and taking the shoulds out of his judgment of you're always late. No, teaching him the tools so that he can have his own sense of accountability. So, my friends, these 3 beautiful cards are setting up our energetics today of how we are going to approach this amazing eclipse. The Knight of Cups, you already are. The Strength card, oh, you're so strong. From all of your challenges, you've gained so much strength. You're so strong. And then lastly, Reverse Judgment. Notice when you are shoulding. Okay, let's take a deep clearing breath so we can start talking about this eclipse. This deep breath is mostly for me, but maybe you need it as well. All right. So I'm going to share my screen a little bit here because this eclipse, after all, the solar eclipse is like a new moon on, I want to keep on saying like on psychedelics, on mushroom trips. But like when we think about the psychedelics and just like the medicine form of these psychedelics to open us up to a different level of receptivity. A solar eclipse is like a new moon that is super open to receptivity so that you can jump into places that have formerly been unseen. And so that's why we call these eclipses jumping into the unknown. And you've hopefully been doing the work of the facing your fears and your lunar eclipse, noticing how the Libra shadows have been holding you in place and seeing all of those things without judgment of how we've been holding ourselves back. Like I've been doing some massive work and noticing how some of my fears have been lifelong fears, fears that have been holding me back in my leadership and my true power for almost 30 years and more. And so I'm super grateful with having the tools to sit in my discomfort, noticing when I fall back into fear responses or trauma responses, and really celebrating my clients in Star Powered Circle who've been on this journey. I've just been seeing people have these most amazing ahas in terms of the things, the fears that have been holding us back. And we do that shadow work not to feel the pain, not to relive and re-trigger ourselves, but instead to start to notice, give thanks and make different decisions, learning how to regulate our bodies so that we can respond differently. And so this eclipse is now asking us, you've done the work. Where are you going to jump in? So, as I mentioned in the beginning, this eclipse, we are at a new cycle of being. Who are you? Not even who do you want to be, right? We're going to get rid of that want because when we think of that want energy, we're creating that energy of desire, of stretching into, of ooh, I'm not this, so I want that, trying, right? When we're putting out that energy of want and trying and, reaching for, then we are actually amplifying and multiplying that want and stretch energy so that our dreams and our goals are always just right beyond our reach. So we're going to erase that want and go straight to the Aries I am. So you can start with your wants and your desires, but then I want you to erase instead of saying, okay, oh, I want to be a renowned astrologer. I am a renowned astrologer. So today, think about, notice where you're putting I want or I desire, and just scratch out that want, scratch out that desire, and replace it with I am. Because today you're planting the seeds of who do you want to be? Who are you? I got myself. What kind of leader? What is your leadership? How are you already a leader who heals others? That Chiron coming in there. So, if you've been listening to me for a while, at least since the beginning of 2024, you know that the theme of 2024 for me is changing the faces of leadership. And earlier at the very beginning of the year, when I did my year ahead forecast, there were about, I think it was six transits that I had my eye on specifically for us leaders, us entrepreneurs, us change makers, that are really supporting us for the change. Of course, we had Pluto entering Aquarius. Pluto's going to dip back into Capricorn for a little bit later this year, and then it's going to move fully into Aquarius by the end of the year. And so Pluto moving into Aquarius is really showing us, how are we contributing to society? What are our social values? Who are the people that we're calling into our larger tribes and our networks that we come together based on these shared social values so that we can transform society in the way that we want that. So Pluto and Aquarius. And then in February, Chiron and the North Node met up in Aries at that 16-degree mark, really opening the door, foreshadowing what we're doing now with this Aries eclipse. So Chiron and the North Node, they meet up in Aries. Chiron and North Node meet up very, very rarely, asking us about how are we stepping into our true purpose based on our Chiron wounds and our Chiron leadership and our Chiron mentorship, what we're supposed to contribute back. So, go back and listen to some of these episodes if you want. On YouTube, we'll have links to some of those previous episodes or in the show notes. And then we had our lunar eclipse. And then we have a Mercury retrograde, all of these things stacked up, getting us ready for our solar eclipse that happens on Monday at Aries of 19 degrees. And then not even 2 weeks later, our Jupiter Uranus conjunction. So we have all of these energies that are pushing us forward. And if we're denying, if we're still have like our heels in the ground saying, no, I don't want to jump, let me just say, the universe is going to come back around and like smack you upside the head and until you hear the message. Okay, have you ever noticed that you start resisting and resisting and resisting and things in your life get harder and harder and harder? This is your call to say, okay, just let go and take that jump out of your comfort zone. And so, listen back to the Mercury retrograde episode, listen back to the lunar eclipse episode, listen back to the Chiron North Node episode if you want a deeper context. But to me, the solar eclipse is really that apex of what it means for those of us that have never necessarily seen ourselves as a leader or know we have something to contribute, but we've been hiding in fear. This is our call. This is our apex. The energy right now is so supportive of us for us to jump into that future. Now, the rest of the year, we're going to have a lot of like bumps and turbulence and some ups and downs that are going to recalibrate, but are really going to galvanize why we're doing this work right here and right now. Because if you haven't heard, the world needs your special medicine, okay? So changing the faces of leadership, not the face of leadership, but the faces where each one of us, you have your part in contributing your personal wisdom, your Chiron gifts into the world. So let me go back to this idea of a leadership and what makes a leader. Okay. Now, I absolutely believe that you are born to lead. Okay. And that a leader doesn't have to, have $1 billion, have, tremendous like power, hoarding power over people. That's a dictator. Okay. And, that orange Cheeto who's trying to come back into being the president of the United States literally said, this, you can find this in the news. He literally said that the first thing that he's going to do if he is reelected is become a dictator. Now, I don't know where you fall on the political spectrum. And if you haven't noticed, I am not a fan of that great Cheeto. He's not a great Cheeto. What am I talking? Not a great Cheeto, of that big doofus of a Cheeto. Okay. And if for the people that are followers and lovers of this person who are, patriots who are upholding democracy to make America great again, like, where does dictatorship fall in the freaking Constitution? Like, wake up, people. Like, can you not see that this Cheeto only has his best interests in mind? How are you brainwashed? Okay. I know I'm not talking to you and I'm getting riled up. Okay. Calm down, Leslie. So let's go back to what makes a leader and why we all really need to show up as a leader. Okay. Now, a leader is, again, not somebody who has power over. Right? Those people are just like manipulating others to take, to act on their best interests. But what truly makes a leader, and we can get these gifts from Aries, is someone who takes action. That's initiative. Someone who shows up for others. Okay, shows up for others. That is not hiding, my friend. That is being visible, showing up for others, and also showing up for yourself, too. Okay, sometimes showing up for yourself is such a heroic act. So, just showing up and being visible, even if you need help, and putting your hand up and saying, I need a little bit of help. That is showing up, my friend. And then sharing your gift. So you were born with special gifts, star powered, star charted gifts. Maybe this comes from your Chiron contribution, everything that you've learned and mastered because of your Chiron pain. Maybe this comes from your sun's superpowers that you are meant to radiate because there's no one like you that has your zone of genius. Oh, speaking of, so if you want to learn how to deepen into your sun's superpowers, like literally that energy that you are meant to radiate so that you can be seen as a luminary leader, then I have a free way to work with me right here and right now, just in time for our Jupiter Uranus up leveling on Friday, April 19th, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, my Radiate Masterclass. It's absolutely free. We're going to be talking about and deep diving into your sun and all of the bits and pieces. Now, even if you've taken this masterclass before, we're going to be putting this into context for our Jupiter Uranus conjunction. So you're going to pick up something new. So join me absolutely free for my Radiate Masterclass, starpowered.com/radiate. Radiate. Okay, so your gift of contribution is also what makes you a leader. And that style of leadership, how you show up as a leader, of course, is based on your rising sign. Now, because all of these energies that we're combining together, there are an infinite ways of you being your leader, your hero. Okay. But if you're not taking action, if you're still hiding, and if you're not seeing your gifts as valuable and not sharing them, then, my friend, you are missing out on your luminary leadership. Now, when we think about Chiron and Chiron's gifts, what you can't heal in yourself, you can heal in others. And that is your Chiron contribution to the world that makes you a leader. You can simply be one or two steps. Yes, you can be a money coach even if you still have debt. Yes, you can be a food coach even if you are overweight. Yes, you can be an identity and leadership coach or consultant, even if you're still questioning your own identity. This is really truly what makes you such a beautiful leader, because you have empathy, you have compassion, because you know how hard it is, that you can make those personal emotional connections to the people that need you. Okay, and so I want you to truly ask yourself, are you taking action? Are you showing up? Are you sharing your gifts? Because that's what it takes to be a leader. It doesn't matter if you're helping one person, your family member, your pets, your plant animals, the Mother Earth. If you are helping any living creature, you are a leader. Okay, let's take a look at the astrology of this solar eclipse. Of course, this solar eclipse is our Aries eclipse at 19 degrees and 24 minutes. I had to put the 24 minutes in, just the little details because of Chiron. And this happens on April 8th at 11:21 a.m. Pacific, 2:21 p.m. Eastern. Now, if you're chasing the eclipse or trying to catch the eclipse, like how I will be somewhere between Oklahoma and Arkansas at the time, looking for a spot in totality. Of course, where the totality of the eclipse is going to match up a little bit to those times, but because our times are based on time zones, there's a lot of details that go into it. I want you to go to an eclipse tracker and find the exact minute of totality based on your longitudinal area, because that's going to impact a lot. It's not going to be that at that 11:21 a.m. Pacific exact time. Okay, there's going to be some variations. Too much to dive into the reasons for those variations in this podcast. And so the Aries new moon is always our very first new moon of the astrological new year. It has so much significance in many different cultures across the world, because it is that springtime new moon. There is this sense of renewal and freshness already baked into this new moon. And now with this solar eclipse, this is just like so huge that this is just like a superstar, an exaltation, like a turbocharge. Of course, it's an exaltation because the sun loves being in Aries. Okay. And so the sun and the moon will be in perfect alignment, but also far out into our solar system, Chiron will be also aligned perfectly. From our perspective here on Earth, Chiron, the sun, the moon, the earth will have a straight line, an arrow that just is jumping us in, aiming so that we can make our mark into our future self. We are now are already our future selves. This, of course, a new moon is the beginning of a new cycle. And when we have two planets that meet up in conjunction, this new cycle, always a new cycle. When we have that Uranus Jupiter conjunction, Jupiter Uranus conjunction, that's going to be a new cycle, a new moon cycle between those two energies. But now we have a new cycle of taking chances and jumping into the unknown in Aries, our luminary leadership, the hero we are meant to be, and our Chiron healing. Okay. And so this is a fresh start that requires inner trust so deep that you know you will land gracefully on your feet and absolutely thrilled at where you have landed and thrilled at what you have overcome already to jump into your future. Now, we have a few key processes for these eclipses. Of course, the solar eclipse to leap into the unknown of a new powerful cycle, the Aries energy to lead, to initiate, to motivate, to trailblaze, to be your very best. Chiron, to heal in others what you can't heal in yourself. North Node, to stretch into your soul purpose, to add that to the collective purpose. Mercury retrograde is here to help us recalibrate our mindset and our fear reactions so that we can truly think about what we've had, our blocks, our mental blocks that prevent us from our leadership. So Mercury retrograde is asking us to rethink, recalibrate what it means to be a leader, what it means to take risk, what it means to overcome or face our fears. I love that Mercury in retrograde right now is asking us to just like slow down our mind a little bit, because sometimes when we overthink, we overthink, then we scare ourselves, right? So Mercury retrograde is almost asking us to to recalibrate and not overthink things so much, to really feel into our bodies. And then the ruler of this eclipse, of course, is, this Aries eclipse is Mars. And Mars is swimming in Pisces and really close to Saturn also in Pisces. Both Saturn and Mars they're not super, super happy in Pisces, but you know what? We're going to give them the strength that they need in Pisces to take committed action. Mars is our energy that activates, that loves to motivate, advocate, initiate. And Saturn is that process that turns doubt into mastery, that through contraction and to focus, really then together with Mars asks us to take committed action. And Pisces, inspired with ease and flow and with some self compassion. This self compassion will help you get rid of that shoulding, right? That judgment card, remember, says stop shoulding. And so to stop shoulding says, hey, my friend, I did the best that I could at that time. It's okay. I had my learning lessons and I will recover. I forgive myself. That's what self compassion looks like. So, Mars conjunct Saturn is saying, let's take committed action based on inspiration, compassion, ease, empathy, and flow. Isn't that so beautiful? That to remind ourselves that all of this work that we're doing does not need to be hard. Yes, it can be easy, it can be inspired. I love that. Okay, so remember, this eclipse is an eclipse of eclipses. This powerful eclipse conjunct Chiron and minute symbolizes that your Chiron contribution is tightly woven in, inseparable, braided through with your luminary leadership. What you can't heal in yourself, you can heal in others. And this is your contribution to the world that makes you a leader. You become the leader through your service to others based on the personal wisdom you gain from overcoming pain and challenge. And Mars, the ruler of this eclipse in Pisces, conjunct Saturn. Mars and Saturn together are a force of focus and commitment. In Pisces, this is your pledge for non judgment, self compassion, empathy, and emotional security. Mercury joins the Aries stellium, allowing you to reactivate how you take charge despite fear because you know what doing right is more important than hiding. This really, truly moves me to tears. Now, this North Node eclipse is asking you to take a leap into your soul's purpose, meaning, how have you not asking yourself, are there ways that there's a gap that you haven't been living into your soul's purpose? Look at where your North Node is. Look at what brings you so much joy. Look at all of these things and see how your soul purpose is intertwined with the collective purpose. How can you take that leap there? Look at your sun and moon. How are you here to recognize your challenges as gifts of leadership? Take an inventory of everything that you've learned and all the skills that you've strengthened and grown inside yourself from your Chiron wound and see them as assets that you're meant to share. That Aries stellium asks you to return to knowing and loving yourself so deeply. Know yourself. Of course, astrology is here to help you see yourself from your highest potential. Love yourself for all of your imperfections because your cracks are where the light comes in. Rumi tells us that. You are born to lead. And Mars conjunct Saturn reminds you to focus on taking compassionate, inspired action. So let's get into a little bit of personalizations and how you can really make this eclipse your own and get further insight into where you're meant to aim your mark and dive into. So the first thing is first, I want you to look at your natal chart and find the house. Okay, find the house that Aries of 19 degrees occupies, because this part of your chart, this area, this house of your chart is what is being activated. And this, what I mean by activated, is that this is the area in your life, in your work, that's saying, I need a fresh upgrade. This is where I'm jumping into. So in that house that's being activated, Where are you jumping into? Where are you becoming more, already becoming your luminary leadership? So that's by house. And I'll be sharing a little bit later about that house, what's being asked of you. Now, the next thing I want you to see at that Aries of 19 degrees, I want you to see if you have any planets near Aries of 19 degrees. I would say I like to give about a 5-degree orb. Some people like to give a 10-degree orb. Some people are much tighter and like to give a 2-degree orb. Whatever orbs you work with, I invite you to use those. But for me, I'm going with a 5-degree orb. If you have a planet that is in Aries, a planet or an angle that is in Aries, anywhere from about 14 degrees all the way to 24 degrees, 14 to 24, 19 would be right in the middle, then I want you to know that those planets or angles that you have at that Aries degrees between 14 and 24, those energies are being eclipsed right now, meaning they are being expanded, they are being up leveled. You are having, just especially if you have your sun or your rising or midheaven there, like this is like massive visibility right now. If you have your nodes right there, you're really being asked to step into your soul purpose. If you have your moon there, you're being asked to step into more emotional awakening. I have my Chiron there. For me, it's like really diving more into my Chiron wounds and really sharing that gift of contribution. Oof. Okay. So notice what, if you have any planets there, understand what that planet, what the process of that planet wants you to do, and know that that planet is being activated right now. That house, that Aries of 19 degrees is activated. That planet is also being activated. Now, the other cardinal sign, so Aries is a cardinal, a self-starter, right? So the beginning of a beginning of a season. We have the other cardinal signs, Libra across the way, and then Cancer and Capricorn, that are squaring this Aries of 19 degrees. Now, Cancer, if you have any planets in that Libra right across the way from Aries, if you have any planets in that Libra area between 14 degrees and 24 degrees of Libra, know that those planets are being confronted by this eclipse. Okay. And so your Libra energies are feeling like they're having to maybe put up a little inner fight or something. I use the word confront because there's an opposition. When we have an opposition and we have a confrontation, a decision needs to be made. And so looking at those planets of like what those planets are saying, I need to confront some of what and listen to what these planets are having to say so that we can make a better decision. So again, I said the word listening, because oftentimes when we have a confrontation, we are so hell bent on what is right for us that we are forgetting to listen. And ultimately we want to make win-win situations, which are not always possible, but sometimes they are if we are truly listening. Where do we need to jump into and confront those planetary energies if you have anything in Libra across the way? Now, Cancer and Capricorn are both squared between those 14 degrees and 24 degrees. Again, that's being activated. If you have any planets in Cancer or Capricorn, know that those planets are acting as triggers for you that are catalyzing you to take your leaps. Okay, so if this was a little too deep for you, then I have a course called Written in the Stars for you that will help you understand orbs, that will help you understand the cardinal and the squares and the aspects and things like that. So if that's for you, head over to my site, starpower.com/written in the stars. Okay, lastly, if you have any planets or angles in fire signs, Leo, Sagittarius, near that 19 degrees, so same orb, 14 degrees to 24 degrees, all of those fire signs, those energies are fully supporting you. Okay, they're saying, hey, you already have us. Harness us, use our support, recognize these gifts that you already have that are here to help you take those jumps into your leadership. Isn't that cool? Okay, let's talk about some personalizations. So, again, if you know your 19 degrees of Aries and which house, then you can then listen for your houses. If not, just listen for your signs and use your intuition to which speaks to you best so that you can personalize your Aries according to this little horoscope. Okay, so today, again, you're planting the seeds to jump into your leadership, to be your best self, to be the hero. You are the hero. Okay, if you're an Aries rising or have the first house being activated, you're planting the seeds in your natural born initiative taking identity and guidance leadership role. If you are a Taurus or have a 12th house activation, you are planting the seeds for some deep spiritual inner work. Okay, so this is about you creating passionate, soul affirming wisdom that allows you to be a leader. If you are a Gemini or have an 11th house activation, like me, you are a leader in building out your communities and a social impact activist. If you are a Cancer or have a 10th house activation, you are here planting the seeds into your luminary leadership by delivering on your ultimate mission as an expert emotional trailblazer. Yes, this is about what you are putting out into the world as an expert. If you are a Leo or have that ninth house being activated, your leadership is now being activated and you're jumping into your global pioneering as a visionary trendsetter. If you're Virgo or have that eighth house being activated, you are jumping into your transformative, powerful, healing healer. You are so empowered. You are sharing and building power for others. If you are a Libra or have that seventh house being activated, you are building those connections through your leadership as with risk taking allies and your trailblazing partners. So go connect. If you're a Scorpio or have your sixth house being activated, you are jumping into your streamlined routines and powerful healing. Make sure you're healing on a daily basis. If you're a Sagittarius or have that fifth house being activated, you are jumping into your heart centered, joyful, creative endeavors. If you're a Capricorn or have a fourth house being activated, your leadership, you are jumping into your frontline, accountable space holding. To be a leader, sometimes all you have to do is create space for people to come and know that this is really warrior type frontline work for your high achieving self. If you're an Aquarius or have this third house being activated, you're jumping into your innovative teaching and thought leadership. Yes, you are Aquarius, you genius rebel. And lastly, if you're a Pisces or having your second house being activated, you're really pouring into your leadership, jumping into leading by your values, understanding your worth, your go get itness, and your resourcefulness. So set those intentions of how you want to invest in yourself and how you're adding value into the world. Okay, my friends. So you have some work ahead for you to make one of my favorite tools, and we're going to be doing this together in ceremony for my upcoming Aries eclipse ceremony. One of my favorite things to do is to do a future cast. And a future cast can look like a bunch of different things. They can be a letter to your future self, a letter about all the things, how you're amazed at the life that you are living, what you've already achieved, right? Like thinking about yourself in the future, turning all of those wants into a letter that you have already achieved. And also maybe meditating on that. So if you want to do that for yourself, do that future cast. Write a letter to your future self. Who are you already? How do you feel? What do you love doing? What is so magnificent about your life and who you are connected to? And really meditate on what that feels like as you are already there. Meditate as if you are already there and create that and amplify that frequency, that energy of who you already are. So, my friends, I'm going to leave you with a quote by Dolly Parton, because Dolly Parton is awesome, because Beyonce is awesome. And if you haven't already listened to that amazing Cowboy Carter album, it just feels so apropos for this Aries energy. Like Beyonce on the cover album is like really a testament to that Aries hero that we are all becoming. And she collabs with Dolly in there, and Dolly says, if your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Indeed, my friend. If you made it this far and are still listening, thank you so much. It's been such a joy and privilege to be able to share this gift of astrology with you. I do see you as a luminary leader. When you heal your leadership, you lead with your healing. All right, my friends, I would love to hear what you are jumping into this eclipse. Till soon.
As a human design projector, my energy shines more brightly because of people like you who share my work. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help build a movement of innovative astrology and leadership and spark the intuitive revolution, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, or better yet, share this podcast with your change-making besties. We will all shine brighter together as we create the future we want to see.